Oh yeah, we're just starting things off here, so they don't have to put too much pressure on themselves, but hopefully they will on their opponents. Kicking it off on Data C, here in the bottom left-hand corner map, we have our blue Protoss player coming up from the land of Pakistan. He is currently teamless. It's TeebuL.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data under the sea, we have the Pakistani Terran player himself representing Team Red Dragons. It is Raza.
Raza, of course, had a little bit of an unfortunate finish over in DreamHack Valencia. He was able to actually fly down to the open bracket himself and was able to compete in that, but yeah, for I think the first time in quite a number of seasons, he wasn't directly seeded into the close qualifiers or the regional event.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't blame him. So you were talking a little bit. Oh my god! as things are popping off, I did want to briefly mention that Raza wasn't seeded in, and he didn't have the best performance last season in Valencia. But that is because, if you remember, Raza is now not quite Papa Raza, but he is now a married man. And that was around the same time.
Yeah, but he is that. Well, I don't want to say the honeymoon phase is over or anything like that, but he is coming back. He is looking to prove himself once again, but his very first opponent here in the regional is, of course, TeebuL, who is no easy Protoss player to beat.
Yeah, TeebuL has really solidified himself as one of the best players in the region. They are good friends. They did kind of come into the region together in 2020. A lot of like old school viewers may not be too familiar with them, but TeebuL is a very cheesy player. If you remember, I think last season every single game involved DTs in some way.
Yep.
And likewise, he is going for a 2-gate opener. There's a proxy here as well. This is designed to apply a lot of pressure early on, and if there was a CC on the low ground, it would be cancelled. Thankfully, Raza did go for a bit of a safer opener. He also goes for an SCV scout across the map as well, just to confirm that something is a little bit amiss.
Yeah, something tells me that Raza remembers how TeebuL plays.
Oh yeah. Again, like, they're very familiar with each other, and just like that, the Stalker is here. It looks like in a couple of moments, the bunker will finish up just in time. The Marines do get in as well, and again, Raza is going to be able to deflect any kind of damage for the time being, and he's able to get his CC up in a decent time.
Yeah, which is super important. He can turn that into an orbital command immediately and just start banking a little bit of energy on that. There's a bit of a delay, but obviously, you'd rather be delayed than dead.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. So, you know, Raza, he's just delayed. We do see that he's going into a bit of a 2-1 opener here, something a little bit different. And what's important is that TeebuL is in the dark right now. He was able to confirm the factory, so he knows it is going to be at least a 1-1-1. But in his mind, I'm sure he's thinking 1-1-1.
Yeah, that's a lot more common here in the TVP matchup as an opening, but once he sees his tank, I think TeebuL will get a little bit of an idea of that's going to delay the starport by a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to recognize that the tech lab would be on the factory and not on the starport if there was one. So he knows to be relatively safe against something like Banshee openers or anything like that. We do see the CC being taken here on the low ground, but again, he's unaware about exactly how many Marines and how this is going to hit, because again, this is going to be like a more standard 2-on-1 like double drop.
Yeah, I mean, if not for the fact that he did get the tank for a little bit of safety, this is pretty much exactly a 2-on-1 without that much variation involved. It's that old standard style of 2-on-1.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really interesting because this has kind of made a resurgence in TVP, as you see TeebuL just poking and prodding, just like, trying to do whatever damage he can here. Thankfully, there's only one tank, and it's not quite in range to fully defend the natural, so, you know, damage is being done, there's a lot of lost mine time, and if Raza isn't careful, he may lose a little bit more.
Yeah, he wants to make sure he keeps these SCVs alive. They are ripe for the picking for all these Stalkers with their superior range. The tank very slowly leaps its way forward, and the CC is starting to get repaired, but TeebuL is still just trying to prevent any mining going on from this natural base.
Yeah, exactly. But overextending a little bit, he will lose one of his Stalkers, so a little bit careless there. But now that we have 2 tanks, we are going to be able to defend and hold here on 2 bases. And from here, Raza, what's interesting about this is that he also didn't go for a reactor or a bit of an add-on switch here for his starport. So he only has one medevac for the time being, and he's just going to move out with that singular medevac.
Yeah, he's still looking to play pretty aggressively with his eBay. Oh no, he misses the Warp Prism. Oh no, Light!
The Warp Prism is missed. TeebuL will get into the main base. Raza was unable to scout the opener here. It wasn't a Twilight Council, it was a Robo first. So again, this is very unexpected, and the tank is nowhere near in position.
This is exactly what TeebuL is best at here. In not just this matchup, but especially in PvT, he is just a master of making his opponent second-guess themselves every single time.
Oh god, exactly. And this drop across the map could deal some damage. These are vanilla Stalkers, they don't have Blink, but and the Stim is going to do well here, but nice target fire on the medevac. Is saved, though, in the end by Raza.
Yeah, very quick reactions coming out from Raza, but very quick reactions coming out from TeebuL as well. He still will lose 5 probes over here, but compared to what Raza has lost so far, it's hardly a drop in the bucket.
Oh no! Oh. Meanwhile, TeebuL was on the hunt for that medevac. He will find it in the end. Raza just overthinking things a little bit and does run into those Stalkers. But that one drop, did it pay for itself? 5 probes isn't bad damage, don't get us wrong. But the problem is that TeebuL has been greedy. Like, he skipped his Twilight Council, he skipped his Blink, he skipped a lot of tech, and he was going into a relatively fast Colossus. The first Colossus is on the way, and when it comes out, he will be able to deflect this push.
Yeah, I'm looking at the army that Raza has right now, and it's mostly Marines and a couple of tanks. There are 2 Marauders here, so with good enough micro and with good enough splitting, he might be able to, target down the Colossus well, but there's a huge buffer of Stalkers here. And TeebuL has done such a good job of keeping all of his tech hidden as well. I don't think Raza will be able to get into that position that he wants.
He really has. I mean, he's on his timer right now. He scans, he sees a Colossus on top of the ramp. He knows that he cannot push up this, and it's a little bit too late. He has to commit, actually. He desieges.
Yeah, he only has 1 medevac. He can't really evacuate out of there. With the siege position, he does prevent TeebuL from overextending or anything like that, and it will allow him to retreat. But still, Raza is still very much on the ropes, and it's still very much up to him to try to deal some damage across the map. TeebuL is more than happy to just let Raza do whatever he wants across the map, because that's exactly what TeebuL himself is doing. He's getting a 3rd base right now. He is playing as greedy as he possibly can. There's the Dark Shrine. It's not if with TeebuL, it's when.
It's always when, Papi. It's always when. At the same time, TeebuL has been doing a great job of just harassing Raza. Unfortunately, Raza never cleaned up that proxy gateway. Finally, he does, but like there were some offensive warp-ins in his face. There was some micro in his main as well. A couple of workers have been going down over time, and we can see that impact here where Raza is now behind a base. Behind 10 workers. Would you see now TeebuL is pushing out across the map? Ooh, interesting. He actually still has not opted to go for Blink. Despite the drop heavy opener, he's confident in his own ability to catch any drops.
Yeah. I mean, Charge of Colossus, it's not super common, but they can react very well to each other. The problem is that Raza has now started to transition away from tanks and is now focusing more on a mine and marauder heavy army.
Oh, he really has. Meanwhile, the armies almost pass each other here in the night. Raza does notice in time. He does siege up, so this 3rd base is looking quite fortified. At the same time, in come those DTs. One of them will go down immediately to a mine. The other, though, is wreaking havoc in the main.
Yeah, I really appreciate Raza's precautions here with those mines and those missile turrets, but TeebuL always one step ahead. More and more SCVs are starting to get lost, and it's not going to be too long before Raza starts feeling pressured into an all-in.
Yeah, like the worker count's getting lower and lower. We have another warp-in of Zealots and DTs in the main base. At the same time, TeebuL, he's waiting for an unsiege, by the way. He's waiting for that 3rd base to become vulnerable, and he may have found it. These tanks are looking pretty naked.
I love that Archon just over there to cause a little bit of extra panic, but yeah, like you said, those tanks pop immediately. A lot of Marauders are over here, and there aren't that many charge slots left, so Raza could actually take this engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, the tanks were exposed, but at the same time, so were the Colossus. Here we go. Raza does Stim on forward. He has the momentum right now. He just lost 30 SCVs. He's going to lose more. We have another warp in the main base. Raza is all in.
absolutely all in, and he has a very potent army behind him as well. He's floating his CC. Now, defensive DTs would be terrifying right now if you're Raza. I don't think he has that many scans left. But at the same time, so are Disruptors, actually.
Here we go. The first Nova does get dodged. We have 2 more Novas where that came from. Another one is going to zone, buy some time, wait for some more warpins, wait for another defensive warpin available for these gateways. There is that third Disruptor, all 3 of them just zoning. And we actually didn't have any defensive DTs.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was trying to warp in one of them, but Raza immediately targeted it down. There are a couple of charges over there, but they are not enough to keep those Disruptors at bay. Raza takes that third base, and he's looking to keep pushing forward, man.
Yeah.
TeebuL pretty much only has gateway units.
Again, TeebuL is up 40 workers. He can afford to lose a base, he can afford to lose probes, but he cannot afford to lose his natural either. He does have one more Disruptor here waiting on top of the ramp. He has a little bit more of a standing army, but he's just being kited away.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take any risk with that single Disruptor. He doesn't want to throw out a Purification Nova and immediately whiff it, because that is a signal for Raza to target it down. Or apparently, he can just target it down while the Nova is out. Raza starting to get pushed away. The Medivacs are very low on energy. Reinforcements coming to meet him, but these are stimmed bio units. They are not Medivacs that can heal what he has on the map.
Exactly, like Raza is running out of time right now. His Medivacs are out of energy. He's running out of HP just because of how many times he has stimmed on the army. He's had great target firing, don't get us wrong. He hasn't taken a Nova to the face. He even was saving a scan, but it's just a numbers game. He just doesn't have enough units on the ground.
Yeah, slowly but surely, TeebuL is getting his army supply up higher and higher, and Raza will be pushed back. TeebuL has bought himself enough time.
Oh, and at the same time, across the map, more workers are going down. There's still a DT in the main. The main is completely forfeit here for Raza. If there was a time to pull the boys, it's long gone. It's too late for them. The boys are dead, mate. They're dead.
Pretty much. I mean, he still has 30 boys he can pull. Not sure what they're going to do against the 60 of TeebuL, but...
Yeah.
Or the Archon. Oh no, he lost the Archon though, didn't he?
He did lose the Archon, he did. Meanwhile, oh my god, we can't even land the CC here. Finally, we have a scan to deal with that one pesky DT. Third base is being retaken. Colossus on the way. TeebuL, he just has to chill and back off, and the pressure is on Raza instead.
Yeah, this is what I really love about TeebuL's usage of DTs. If you'll notice the energy on these orbital commands, I think Raza has enough for... I think 3 or something mules, and he doesn't even want a mule right now because he knows that if he gets caught with his pants down in the middle of a map without a scan, he's just has to GG out.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is why TeebuL's usage of DTs is so effective, because he just forces out all of these scans and forces his Terran opponents to be stingy with their energy.
Yeah, I could just say it. It's abusive.
It's abusive. I'm trying to be non-biased here, but I'm glad you gave me the go-ahead. I'm trying to be non-biased, but yeah, it's abusive.
Oh my god, meanwhile we have a double jump into the main base. We do have a defensive warpin of those DTs. Do we have the scans? We should have a little bit of energy, but here come the rest of the army. Widowmine shots are going to go off. 9 probes go down at the same time. A Zealot run by across the map, and Raza just doesn't have enough to both attack and defend.
Yeah, he is trying. You got even points for that, but unfortunately, points aren't enough to win the game.
Exactly, as 15 more SCVs go down. I mean, Raza did lift up his main, and he is landing here at the third base, so he has 3 orbitals working overtime right now, and he's stimming and microing his heart out, you know? He's doing his best. But there's only so much, like, Terran micro can really do for you, though.
Yeah, he is doing all he can with that micro, I gotta say, but like you said, it's a little bit limited compared to the numbers. TeebuL a little bit behind on the upgrades, but finally he has a larger army than what Raza has. He has a more sophisticated army as well, with Disruptors and Colossus. GG, TeebuL takes game number 1.
GG, well played. Oh my god. TeebuL does take that first game in a pretty... I don't know if I want to say dominating fashion. I mean, there was a moment there for Raza, don't get us wrong. Like, because of the 2-1-1 opener, he had a pretty strong bioforce of Marine Marauder, and we saw how powerful it was. Unfortunately, he really did struggle to keep up with the multi-prong aggression of of TeebuL, you know? Like, we saw how, like, when he pushed out across the map, it was really impressive. Unfortunately, he was all in, because he was losing everything at home, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. I think Raza dealt with that unfortunate opening really, really well, actually. As I double-check the maps real quick here. Inside and Out is going to be next. Yeah, I think Raza definitely dealt with the opening about as well as he could. But it was everything else that TeebuL was doing that really secured his lead throughout the rest of the game. You know, going for a robo first, keeping all his tech hidden, going for, like you said, all of that multi-prong attacks, being as aggressive as he was, really put him over the edge there.
Yeah.
By the time Raza did kill those Colossus and start making his way across the map, he had basically zero economy left. He had zero way of reinforcing his army as he pushed out, and TeebuL just had to wait and defend.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty intense for Raza. And part of me feels like I should also place a little bit of blame on Raza as well, because, like, if I'm honest, if you remember, Raza, he left that gateway in his natural base up for a long time, and
yeah,
like, TeebuL actually made use of it. Like, he was actually warping in reinforcements in the face of his opponents. Okay. Just sending the players in the face of his opponent.
Right.
It's okay. It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, like, Raza maybe should have dealt with that gateway a little bit sooner. Maybe again setting up some turrets or leaving some units back at home as well. Hopefully though, he is warmed up now after that first game, and he can kind of, especially after microing his heart out, right, and he can kind of show what he's made of a little bit better here in game 2.
Yeah, it is still morning time over in the land of the UK, and so it takes a little while to wake up and get warmed up, especially when you've just gotten out of bed. I like to imagine they didn't, though. I like to imagine they were awake for a while. Anyway, we're now going to be continuing our best of 3 series here on Inside and Out. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spotting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our red Terran player coming down from the land of Pakistan. He is, of course, going to be representing Red Dragons. He is Raza.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Inside and Out, we have the Pakistani Protoss player himself, representing himself, and currently up 1-0 in the series. It is TeebuL.
I'm keeping my eyes on this probe of TeebuL right now. Slowly making its way across the map once again.
You can't, like, look, at the best of times, you can't trust a Protoss probe, period. But TeebuL's probes they're made of something else.
Oh yeah. You know, some players, they like to send out a probe for a scout, but TeebuL, if he does that, you have to wonder what's wrong with him.
Oh god, yeah, sometimes you do have to wonder, and oh boy. So far, you know, we do see the probe this time not going for a pylon in the natural base. It's just going to slip into the main base. Be a little bit annoying here, just getting a full scout off. He is locked into the main, to be fair, so this probe, it will be eventually hunted down, but at least he'll be able to confirm, okay, this time it is going to be a 2-gas opener.
Yeah, he knows that things are a little bit gas intensive here, but other than that, pretty nice and standard. That's the factory before CC, however.
Yeah.
And that's something TeebuL will have to keep in mind.
Yeah. As it is a 2-gas opener, he knows that, again, it's going to be a delayed CC, but how delayed is it going to be? We can see that Raza does pull out of gas, so again, we'll see if he's going to really fully invest into a 1-1-1 or what exactly he does with this factory. The Reaper is going to make short work of this probe, though, and he's going to be a little bit in the dark as to what is the follow-up.
Yeah, I feel like all signs are pointing right now to just factory expand for Raza, but if we learned anything from TeebuL in that last series, we know that you can never make assumptions in TVP.
Oh, speaking of assumptions, so TeebuL going for 2 gateways here is pumping out not just 2 adepts, but 2 more adepts behind this. Something very unorthodox. Again, this is going to be rushing across the map to try and delay this CC, maybe even try and find a way into the main.
Yeah, one well-placed shade, and if Raza's attention is elsewhere on the map right now, TeebuL will have full eyes on everything that Raza's going to be doing. The aggressive use of these adepts, you know, they also work to chase away the Reapers.
Yeah, he wanted to try and hunt down those Reapers. In the end, he will not get there. Meanwhile, we do have a shade across the map. We do have a Widowmine on the way. Unfortunately, it's not ready, and there it is. We are going to have that delay on the CC.
Ouch. The one game Raza decides to get a CC on the low ground. One game he felt safe.
I know, right? I mean, thankfully, though, these adepts are going to have a hard time keeping up with the Reapers, and 2, 3 probes are going to go down, maybe even 4. Eventually, this will get cleaned up, but this is not bad damage.
Yeah, who needs a Hellion? Well, the Hellion's still really useful. 7 probes have gone down, and Raza has gotten a full scout. He knows that TeebuL is actually going for a Twilight Council this time. No early robo base or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So Raza's honestly not in a bad position here. I mean, it is a shame that he's still on 1 base, and he would love to get a CC up and running, but getting 10, like, this is almost unacceptable
11?
damage. This is crazy.
Wow. I guess that's what happens when you use all of your adepts aggressively across the map. Mostly one defensive adept ain't quite gonna cut it.
I guess so. Meanwhile, here we go. We do have the Widowmine zoning this army away. It looks like, ooh, Raza has to be careful about the friendly fire, though. Up.
Yeah, the shade does land right in the middle of those adepts. A couple of SCVs do get caught in the crossfires, but not too many of them go down in the end. So all in all, nicely done for Raza.
Nicely done in the end. This could have been a lot worse. We saw how many of those SCVs were weakened from those Widowmine shots, so only 3 SCVs going down. Not bad. The worker counts are now even, and Raza can finally get that CC.
Yeah. Finally, he can start mining, man. And he's gonna need that CC, or... Okay, I like that he's getting the Raven this time. I was gonna say, he's gonna need that CC for more scans, but, yeah, I'm glad that he is getting mobile detection this game.
I'm glad so as well. It is going to be on the way. At the same time, the Widowmines were scattered earlier, so TeebuL can make an assumption that a drop is coming his way. His Stalkers are already in position. Boys are being pulled. These Widowmines shouldn't get too much damage.
Yeah, 1 probe goes down. But at least Raza is able to once again confirm, yep, it's Twilight Council. He's not making any weird tech switches from here. Hasn't quite gone to the natural yet, though.
Yeah, in the natural there are 2 more gateways, so this is going to be 4 gate blink stalkers in total. Ordinarily, I would say that this is going to be like hyper aggression, but at the same time, like, because of the weird opener, like, TeebuL could still expand behind this. I say that as we do have a prism on the way, so TeebuL wants to just put on as much pressure as he can with his blink stalkers.
Yeah, another very aggressive style coming out from TeebuL this game. It's what's serving him well so far in this series, you know? Take control of the map and just play as greedy as he wants.
Yeah, here we go. That's exactly what he's doing. He is expanding behind this. Again, just because of the late double gateway, because of all the adepts in the early game, like, it does make sense that he does still intend to expand, but he has the option to, again, contain his opponent on these 2 bases. What do we have to defend? Thankfully, we have a bunker on the low ground. We have a tank in both areas, low and high ground. There's no bunker in the main, but we don't necessarily need one. I do think that Raza, he has the tools to defend.
Yeah, he even has a disable if he needs it to cancel any more warp-ins from this prism. Actually being a little bit conservative with the amount of stalkers he sent across the map, TeebuL is.
Yeah, only 4 stalkers, very uncommitted. You know, we have Blink, and he blinks to the safety of the prism, so you can just pick up every unit. He just checks, kind of like skill checks the defense here of Raza, confirms, okay, you're fine. I'll just back off, and I'll just macro instead.
Yeah, if he failed that check, you know that every single stalker will be immediately making its way across the map right now. Yeah. Just blink into the main.
Oh, you're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. At the same time, that medevac is finally going to get the hell out of here. This is the medevac that dropped the Widowmines earlier, so he will be able to escape the clutches of those stalkers. TeebuL getting his third up and running. We have a bay, and it looks like we're going straight into Disruptors. Interesting choice. It looks like, for now anyway, we're skipping Colossus.
Yeah, very interesting choice coming out here from TeebuL. I guess maybe after game number 1, he doesn't want to be in a scenario where he leaves his Colossus to expose again, and, you know, Disruptors, they are much, much better zoning units than Colossus are, at least against Bio.
Yeah, they really are. It's one of those kind of high-risk, high-reward units. I mean, we know all about Disruptors and
oh yeah.
Yeah, how they can make or break games. So really risky play here from TeebuL. We'll see if it pays off. At the same time, looks like Raza is getting ready to move out with quite an army indeed. 2 tanks, 5 Widowmines. As this is happening, TeebuL is getting ready to sneak into the main.
Yeah, but already a couple of missile turrets are being set up to deter that. I do think that TeebuL, since he has full health on that prism, could try to just bust on through, but he's still going to be leaving himself vulnerable if he does.
He is. Here we go. It's go time. The prism is going to sneak on in, and it does. Oh, not get past.
It went right in the middle of those two missile turrets, man. Meanwhile, this is a disruptor that's just on the map for some reason. Went for a walk outside of safety of everybody else, and the other disruptor gets disabled just as Purification Nova gets sent out. All of these mines burrow and take out every single zealot. Raza still has a very powerful army, and TeebuL is struggling to get some reinforcements.
Exactly. Everything that could go wrong just went wrong here for TeebuL. He lost almost half of his army supply in the blink of an eye. The army is stimming on forward. There is no buffer for these stalkers. The army is more than happy to stim and dance toe-to-toe with them. And just like that, TeebuL is going to be losing everything. The voids are being pulled, but the reinforcements are going to be rallied across the map.
TeebuL going to be losing his cert base, but very much unlike game number 1, he can't afford to lose it this time.
Oh, exactly. Cannot afford to lose it. He has no more high-tech units. We were talking about it earlier. Disruptors are very high-risk, high-reward, and not a single Nova out of 3 disruptors, not a single one went off.
Yeah, they're units that are high-risk, high-reward, and unfortunately TeebuL got all of the risk and none of the reward. GG, Raza ties up our series 1-1, giving us an ace match.
GG, well played. What a powerful push there from Raza, and TeebuL just slipping up a little bit when it mattered the most, you know, just yellowing in and throwing in his warp prism and just throwing away his supply there. The random disruptor that was rallied across the map, and unfortunately the other disruptor that was disabled as well. Like, and we didn't even get to talk about the juicy Widowmine shots that went off on the entire Zealot army.
Oh man, those are the kind of Widowmine shots that happen where, as a Terran player, I look at it and I'm like, I wish I could be as good as that, you know? I wish my mine shots were that good.
I wish they were as well. And, we may need to remake this lobby, as I don't think this is the ladder map.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, my mistake.
All good. As we are getting ready for that ace match, we're tied up 1-1 here. And yeah, here what I do really appreciate about game number 2 is that Raza, it did feel like he was warmed up. You know, he was ready for the backstab, he was ready for the counterattack, he was ready for the prism, I mean, and he was able to focus a lot more on his main army, and we got to really see what Raza could pull off with that attention. Really impressive.
Yeah. But now let's hope now that both players are fully warmed up, though, we are going into our ace match. Let's see what they can. Let's see how close this is going to be.
Exactly. Which way is this going to go? As I should probably also let them know the current state of the game in the ace match. Just messaging the admins as well. And the ace match is going to be on Tropical Sacrifice.
Yeah, and then pretty interesting map to end things out with. I feel like it's probably one of the few maps in the current pool that isn't advantage to Terran or Protoss. At least not in huge obvious ways, right? For the players, yeah. Compared to maps like, say, Cosmic Sapphire, which is Protoss favored, or Stargazes, which I feel is a bit more Terran favored.
Yeah, like Tropical Sacrifice, I think maybe less so than race favored, it favors the defending player, whoever that decides to be. Like, we have these big ramps, we have all these side blockers in the middle of the map as well.
How many games in Tropical Sacrifice have you seen in the past couple of weeks where the defending player is on the complete ropes, but then all of a sudden, because they were able to defend long enough, suddenly pulls a complete 180 and wins the game? We'll see if this is going to be another case of that, as we spawn into Tropical Sacrifice, where in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in that top right-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss player coming down from the land of UK, representing Pakistan, and himself, as he is currently teamless, he is TeebuL.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice, we have the Pakistani Terran player himself, representing Red Dragons. It is Raza. Also,
I'm reaching through. Yep.
Go on.
I'm reaching through my backlog of games on Tropical Sacrifice, And while I do remember a lot of games where the defending player defended long enough to be able to win, I'm also remembering a lot of games where Terran players specifically decided, I don't want to play long games on this map. I'm just going to cheese against my Protoss opponent, get an early armory, get some drilling claws on my Widow Mines. Let's go.
Oh yeah, on this map specifically, we've seen so many Armory Widowmine drops come time and time again. I don't know if Raza is that kind of player, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, as I guess really we should be keeping an eye on TeebuL. You know, game 1, bit of a proxy. Game 2, this one is going to be a little bit more committed.
Yeah, game 1 was just a bit of a proxy. This time, though, it's a lot of a proxy.
Yeah, exactly. I imagine we're just waiting for the Cybercore to finish up back at home. TeebuL getting ready to throw down, I'm going to assume, a proxy Stargate, but we'll see. We'll see if he's crazy enough to go for a Robo. In this position, I doubt it, but yeah, you never know with TeebuL.
Yeah. You never want to take any bets here with what TeebuL's build is going to be, but this time he did do the more standard option of that proxy, and he is going for a Stargate. Ooh. Phoenix or Oracles, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Oracle, and Raza is guessing wrong here. So Raza did go for an SCV scout. He confirmed both gases were taken. He also saw that a single pylon was in the main base, so he knows that there's a proxy out there. He knows that there is tech out there, and it looks almost as if he's getting ready for either a proxy gateway or even proxy robo here with this bunker on the ramp.
Yeah, and I definitely don't blame him. I mean, who expects a player to be this committed to a proxy in the ace match? Well, when it's TeebuL, you know he's going to be committed.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we do have the first Zealot rushing across the map, so this bunker is still going to have some use here, forcing away this Zealot, but the Zealot is just a poke and pro, just get an eye on things to apply pressure to the CC on the low ground if there was one. Meanwhile, that first Oracle is on the way, and what do we have to defend? Well, we will soon have a Cyclone, but that's soon and not going to be fast enough.
Yeah, this Oracle should be able to get quite a number of SCV kills. Every Marine being made right now is being sent into bunker, which I can't really blame Raza for that. But TeebuL is waiting a little while longer with his Oracle.
Yeah, interesting choice here. I agree. Like, this natural base, the mineral line, is so vulnerable right now. There's literally nothing defending it. The Marines, as you were bringing up, are busy in the bunker. So there was an opportunity. There was a moment. But TeebuL, instead, he backs off. He doesn't go for it. He's going to be playing this out a little bit safer instead.
Yeah, went back home, I guess, just checking for proxies. He did keep that SCV alive, so it makes sense he doesn't want to have a reverse Uno card pulled on him with a proxy starport off Raza himself. TeebuL, he seems a little bit paranoid here with his Oracle.
100%. I do think that Raza won out in the mind games. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know how he was able to pull it off. Looking at the vision here of TeebuL, like TeebuL saw the CC on the high ground, so he knows about the expand at least. But he is so paranoid about like a proxy starport or proxy anything.
I feel like very few players out there can really say, I won the mind game against TeebuL. This is gonna give Raza such a huge advantage for the rest of this map.
Yeah, this Oracle really not paying for itself at all. So far, to be fair, the Oracle is still alive and it's slowly gathering energy, so it can get value later on, but now Raza has the Cyclone. He even has an SCV here to repair just in case.
Or maybe TeebuL was playing 90 chess this entire time. He sent the Oracle around and around to gather energy. Except now there's anti-air, so yeah, the 90 chess doesn't really work out.
You're like, he went around, he gathered energy, and where does the story end?
He threw down a revelation and a stasis ward to catch a single SCV. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think TeebuL's just a little scared right now, which he really doesn't need to be.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, despite that, you know, TeebuL, he did transition nicely. He did get into a Twilight Council. We now have Blink, by the way. We have high ground vision because of the Oracle, so TeebuL still has the option to be aggressive. As we do see a Blink on forward, and because of the revelation, Cyclone goes down.
Huge pickoff right now for TeebuL. This Oracle still has to worry about the Marines, but obviously Marines are much less mobile than Cyclones, and Marines can't lock on to air targets as much as I wish they could.
Ooh, on top of that, Raza's being a little bit greedy here. He only has a single tank to defend. It's unsieged, by the way, and it's going to be focused down.
Picking off that tank is such a huge move right now for TeebuL. It delays the push of Raza by so much, but Raza pulling the trigger a little bit. I'm not sure if he really wants to commit to pushing out entirely with his Bioforce, but he can pick off a couple of Stalkers here near retreat.
Yeah, it's going to be worth it. Because of his stim timing, he picks off a lot of Stalkers here. Well worth one tank, by the way, but TeebuL is buying time. I love it. He goes around in a circle here trying to just bait his opponent. Oh my god, the stasis trap!
That's why he was going around with his Oracle early on. He was preparing, and that is one of the juiciest stasis wards I think I have ever seen here. Pretty much catching more than half of Raza's entire Bioforce.
Mate, absolutely baited, mate. Aye, more than half does get stasis in the end. Boys are being pulled. TeebuL suddenly is going to be the player here with so much momentum coming his way. Sure, I mean, he may not win the game here and now, but he does get 7 SCVs.
90 chest light. TeebuL, he just made Raza believe he won the mind games.
True.
When actually, he was waiting to bait out the bio.
Exactly. You know, the end of that sentence was he was saving energy on his Oracle for the stasis, and it worked. And now he has high ground vision. Now we have 0 tanks, so we don't have any protection at all against these blinks. We don't have a bunker in the main either, and just like that, 2 add-ons get taken down.
Yeah, a lot of Marauders are out right now for Raza, however, so TeebuL's Stalker Force is a little bit more vulnerable. +1 infantry weapons is about to finish up, and there's still a very real chance here for Raza if he pulls the boys to go all in and win the game.
There is a chance here, but I really worry for him because he's lost so many workers. He's making only a handful of SCVs at a time right now. TeebuL still has that map control. He has a 3rd base behind this. He's working on charge. We have a gateway explosion. The one downside of what TeebuL is doing is that he's relying a lot on his gateway army, and because of that, like, his army can kind of sway in favor of Raza if he takes a good enough fight, because he doesn't have Colossus, he doesn't have Disruptors.
Yeah, TeebuL needs to be very careful right now with how he blinks. He doesn't want to leave that off cooldown for too long.
Yeah, and that was not a good trade at all here for TeebuL. He ends up losing a good 1/3 of his Stalker force to these Marauders. There we go, finally trading a little bit better here, and again, just pulling the army of Raza towards the southern portion of the map, just buying more time, just chipping away at this army and whittling away at it. By the time it gets across the map, it's not going to be anywhere near as powerful.
Yeah, look at how low these Medevacs are in energy right now, and TeebuL is now starting to transition to more of a Charged Archon composition, but he still needs a little bit of time before that happens. Okay, I saw the charges moving out loud, and I thought he might try to sandwich. That would have been disastrous for TeebuL, but he thinks better of it in the end, and he will retreat to a much safer defensible location.
Yeah, well, again, TeebuL once again just pulling the army all the way back home, and even as he does so, he delays the 3rd CC once again, just forcing Raza in just such a more difficult position. Finally, the proxy has been scouted. Finally, this is going to get cleaned up, but I do feel like TeebuL should have bought enough time here. Look at this Zealot army. It's terrifying.
Yep. Storm's about a 1/4 of the way done, and of course, TeebuL can always get a couple of Archons if this army hits a little bit sooner. We mentioned how Tropical Sacrifice, another nice note, Stasis Ward comes down here. It will weaken the army of Raza by so much. We were talking about how Tropical Sacrifice is a really good map for the defender. It turns out there are more ways to defend than just sitting at home with shield batteries.
Exactly. I guess I should have been a little bit more specific, but because the rush distance is so long, because we have all these side blockers as well that make it difficult to really get an eye on what is in the middle of the map, like, whoever is here can really slow down a push. As we saw, Raza has been trying for the past, like, couple of minutes to move out across the map, and he just can't do it.
Yeah, now Storm is complete for TeebuL. He has pretty much every unit that he needs right now to be able to defend. Still needs to be a little bit careful with Widow Mines, but I'm confident that he'll be able to defend the push out from Raza. Important to note, if Raza's push hit when he wanted it to hit, you know, when he started moving out a couple of minutes ago, TeebuL would have had 0 defense.
He wouldn't have Storm. Just like that, we see one massive Storm on that army. You brought it up. We do have a lot of Widow Mines. Bear that in mind. We have 10 Widow Mines right now. That's essentially half the army. And if the shots are going to be good enough, they can obliterate the Zealot force here. It's going to be all about the engagement. It is still going to be all about the Storms as well.
Yeah, Raza needs to be very careful with how he engages this. A lot of choke points over here, which he can take advantage of with his Widow Mines, but so can TeebuL with his Storms and also with the Widow Mines of Raza. Decent Storm. and decent Widow Mines, but in the end, I think TeebuL's army is just a little more sophisticated than Raza's. Will be able to deflect this and have momentum to keep pushing.
Yeah, like Raza, he probably could have dealt with either the Zealot army or the Storm. Probably not both combined though. Like I really appreciate the minefield that he was setting up. It was looking really intimidating. It was looking really impressive, but it just wasn't going to be enough anyway.
This poor Marauder chased around at DC so many laps.
Today is leg day, okay? Ay, but just like that, Raza's army just crumbles before the might of TeebuL. Now he's on the counter-attack. We just see Prism on the way, but we already have a couple of High Templar gathering that energy, getting ready for more of those storms. Pushing up a ramp is still going to be difficult, but I mean, look at that supply.
Yeah, it's not exactly lying right now in favor of TeebuL, but Raza is still catching back up. He has plenty of production buildings, and he has began his transition into Ghosts. Now we'll see how well Raza can defend.
We'll see. We'll see if TeebuL is actually overextending here. He's pushing in a little bit prematurely before he has his Prism to reinforce, but it doesn't even matter. That CC is low from early. We have the Storm on the SCVs!
Completely preventing the repair on top of that. I think Raza should be able to get a bit of a concave right now, but as it turns out, a couple of reinforcing chargelets will continue this offensive.
Yeah, exactly. Another Storm zoning away the army for a moment. There was a pretty questionable aggressive blink there. You probably agree with that, where we saw TeebuL blink forward and not really do much with his Stalker, so he threw away a lot of his army. Meanwhile, we have a Prism in the main base. Oh, it's going to get taken down before a warp-in happens at all. So, a questionable engagement, but behind it, TeebuL just double expanded. Like, his economy is going to get out of control. He just needs time to rebuild the army that he just threw away.
And that's important to keep in mind. I feel like the damage that TeebuL has dealt is well worth it at the cost of his army, but like you said, that was a pretty high-tech Protoss army. There were a lot of High Templar, and TeebuL needs a little bit more time to get back his strength from earlier.
Exactly. Like, if we look at the army supplies are actually quite close. You know, not so much when it comes to workers, but when it comes to the army. We do have another Storm here zoning away with the army. A decent EMP is going to force TeebuL back, and TeebuL has to give up this Nexus. But again, TeebuL double expanded. He doesn't care about that base.
Yeah, that's pretty much just something to keep Raza distracted while he finishes up Thermal Lance, while he sends a little run-by across the map with chargelets. He is forcing Raza all in. Every single Ghost gets caught in that Stasis Ward, and TeebuL will take that series 2-1.